Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Heart, a virtual event presented by HeartKids. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us tonight. I know you've got a lot on in your lives, and sometimes taking time out in an evening when you've got dinner to eat, things to watch, homework to do, we've got a lot on. So thank you so much for choosing to be a part of tonight. My name is Luke Heismans. I'm super excited to be your host, your MC for tonight. And to kick things off, I want to see who we've got joining us. So I'm going to get up nice and close and personal with you because I want to see all of you. Ruby, hello. I hope you've got the correct names written on your screens. We're going to get to that in a minute. But hello, Ruby. Who else have we got? We've got Therese. We've got Izzy. Hello, Izzy.
Hi.
Who else can I see? Daniel. Welcome, Daniel. I don't know, that's a cool background. Really like that. Who else have we got? We've got Kimberly.
No.
She's next door. That's why I'm giving a shout out to Kimberly. Isabella. Hello, Isabella. That looks like a very comfy chair / couch. And Fiona. That looks like you're chilling out in your bedroom. Hello. I don't have time to go to all of you, but welcome. I'm going to try to find out about as much of you as I can tonight, but just a quick shout out to all of you for joining us. Thank you so much. Now, before I really begin tonight, I'd like to first acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands that I am hosting this event from. And they are the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people here in Melbourne. And I also want to acknowledge all the traditional custodians of the lands that you are all on, because I know we've got people tuning in from all over the place. And so I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of those lands and also any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people participating in tonight's event. I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And then I'd also like to celebrate the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of Australia. Now, some of you might already be very familiar with HeartKids. You've been doing a lot of stuff with HeartKids, so you know what HeartKids is all about, while for others, this could be your first connection. So if it is your first connection, I'm going to give an extra special shout out to you. Thank you so much. And I hope you really enjoy this. Now, tonight we would love for you to walk away with something new, some new information, some key insights, and you might even have a chance to make some new friends, because as you can see, we've got a lot of people participating tonight. And I know some of you might even be saying, well, what is tonight all about? My parents didn't tell me anything, or my carers or guardians didn't pass on any information. I don't know why I'm here. Well, tonight there's a few different things. We've got connection, as I mentioned. I'd like to connect with you. We'd love for you to connect with as many participants tonight as possible. We've got some special guests that you get to connect to. We're going to be hearing stories. You might even get to share your story, but we'd love to hear as many of your stories as possible. We've also got an opportunity to interact with health professionals. There's a tongue twister for you. Try saying that 10 times fast. We've got some amazing health professionals here tonight joining us, and they're going to be open books. We're going to get to ask them anything we want. There's also a chance to learn a little bit about mental health. Mental health is so important. As I said, we've all got pretty busy lives. We've all got a lot going on, not only for us personally, but for the people in our lives and around us. So mental health is really important to stay on top of, just like physical health. And then finally, fun. I don't just want to be talking at you for the rest of the night. I know you don't want to hear me talking at you for the rest of the night. We are going to have some fun. We're going to be playing some games. We're going to be giving away some prizes. I bet that got your attention. More about that in a minute. But we want you to have fun. And if you're having fun and I'm having fun, well then tonight's been a success. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, I would. So, to kick things off, I would like to go through a little bit of Zoom housekeeping. Now, some of you know Zoom really well. You've been using Zoom for a while. That's this platform that we're all on right now. You know your way around Zoom. You know how to use all the features and functions. Again, for some of you, this could actually be your first time using Zoom. So, with that in mind, as I said before, your name. You should all have your name on the screen. We want to make sure that it's your name, not your parent's name or the person whose laptop or iPad or phone you might be borrowing. So we want to make sure that it's your name. Now, what you need to do, if you're a Heart sibling too, we want you to write your name and then in brackets write sibling, so that we can identify who the siblings are, and that's going to be really important a little bit later on. So make sure you've changed your name to your correct name. That's the first thing. For the best viewing experience tonight, what we want you to do is have speaker view selected. Now, if you've joined on a laptop, you can find the view button in the top right-hand corner, and then you just click speaker view. If you're on a phone, you will see the more button, click that, and switch to speaker view on there. And then you should see me. I'm sorry about that, but I'm the speaker. So you should be able to see me. That's speaker view. Now, you're all doing a fantastic job of this already. Keep those microphones muted, because what happens is when we unmute our microphones and then suddenly we've got random voices popping in and then suddenly everyone's talking over the top of everyone else and we can't hear what anyone else is saying. So we need you to keep those microphones muted, and if we're going to chat to you through the magic of technology, we can actually unmute your microphone for you. So you don't even have to do that. And I would love to talk to a few of you in just a second, so we're going to test that out. Now, I noticed before that some of you still don't have your cameras on. Now, we'd love to see as many of your faces as possible. Now, some of you are maybe a bit like me, that you love being on camera and you don't have a problem showing your face. Give us a wave, because I'm exactly like that. Yeah, I can see a few of you. Excellent. I love that. I love that confidence. And for some of us, we might feel a little bit uncomfortable being on camera, and that's okay too. But I'd like to really throw out the challenge to you all to have your cameras on. So if your camera is off, if you can switch that on for us, that would be fantastic. That way, when we're chatting to you, we can see you, we can interact, and we can connect. So make sure if your camera's off, pop it on. Then there's the chat function. Make sure you utilize the chat function. And all you need to do is click the chat icon located at the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom window, and then it'll open up the chat panel, and then you can pop a comment in there, you can write a question, maybe some emojis, you can say hello to everyone, give a wave. That's where we want all of that interaction to happen. And that's also where, if you've got any problems tonight and your parents or your carers can't help you out with a technical issue, you can chat to our HeartKids stage managers. And they're here, they've got a few of them here in the room with me right now. And if you've got any problems and you need a question or you have a question that needs answering, they can help you out. So feel free to pop that in the chat. Now, I mentioned prizes before. I bet that got your attention because we all love winning free stuff. So we've got some fantastic prizes to give away to you tonight. And we've got 2 JBL headphones signed by Kennedy Cherrington. Now, some of you might know Kennedy, some of you might not. She is an NRL footballer, and we might learn a little bit more about her later on. And we've also got 3 $50 Prezzy vouchers. Now, if you've had a Prezzy voucher before, you'll know how cool these are. You can spend these anywhere. So it's basically $50 cash for you to spend on whatever you want. So to win these prizes, all you need to do is participate tonight in our games and engaging throughout tonight. Make sure you join in the fun, use the chat function, ask questions, and stay involved. So I'm going to wish you all good luck, because I'd love to win one of those Prezzy vouchers myself, but I don't think I'm eligible. So first up, it'd be a bit strange for me to ask you about who you are and your life and your journey without knowing anything about me. I'll give you a really quick snapshot. So for many years, I used to work with a youth organisation based here in Melbourne called the Reach Foundation. And that was started up by a footballer from the Melbourne Football Club and a film director. And that was Jim Steins and Paul Curry. And I used to travel all around Australia working with teenagers just like you, running interactive workshops like this in person. And I did that for a number of years before I decided that I didn't mind being on camera, and I liked the sound of my own voice, which I know sounds very self-indulged and strange, but Now I do a lot of voiceover work on TV and radio, which I find really fun. And I also get to host a few things on television as well. So that's a little bit about me. If you've got a question, I'm going to throw it over to you. If you'd like to know anything about me, I'm a little bit of an open book. I'm going to have a quick check of the comments. I'm going to see. Some of you might have a question, some of you might not. You might not even care at this point, and I'm cool with that. But some of you might have a question, so let's have a look. Looking in the comments, where did you grow up? And that was from Eve. Thank you, Eve. Great question. I grew up here in Melbourne. I'm a Melbourne boy. I've been very lucky after I finished school to do a lot of travel. There's a couple of countries I really love around the world, Italy being one of them. It's one of my favourite places. I also got to spend some time with some wild lions in Zimbabwe, in Africa. That was very cool too. But I'm a Melbourne boy. So shout out to everyone tonight who's from Melbourne, because I love it. It's a great city. Who else has got a question? How old are you? Bailey. Oh, good question, Bailey. Can you guess? I'm starting to get a little bit old now. I am 42. Good question though. I hope I look younger. Some of you might think I look older. I don't know, but I'm now 42. And last question quickly. Hang on. How did I get into this HeartKids workshop? Really good question. I've been doing various work for lots of different organisations. So I've done stuff with Camp Quality, as I mentioned, the Reach Foundation, and it was through that kind of work with young people. I really enjoy this. That's how I got asked to be involved, and I found out about HeartKids and what they do and what the organisation supports. Absolutely loved it. That's why I'm here tonight. Thank you for your questions. Okay, enough about me. I've been talking for a while now. Let's find out about you. We're going to play a really quick game. And it's really simple. It's called the camera on and off game. So this is where you need, if your camera is off, we kind of want you to be able to turn it on, because that's how you're going to participate in this game and play. So here are the rules. Well, firstly, give me a wave if you've actually played a game like this before on Zoom, where you've had to turn your camera on and off. Okay, so there's a couple of hands waving, okay. And then I can see a lot of hands not waving. So here are the rules. Everyone, when I say go, you're going to turn your camera off. I'm going to ask a question, and if the question applies to you, you turn your camera back on. And in a second, I'm going to get you to turn it into gallery view. So we've had it on speaker view. So where it said speaker view, we're going to go to gallery view. So you can see everyone. Should be like a whole bunch of squares. So you should be able to see everyone's faces. And we're going to turn our cameras off and then ask a question. If the question applies to you, turn your camera on. If it doesn't, leave it off, and you can still see everyone whose cameras are on. And we're going to have a little bit of a chat. So if you're a little bit confused, that's okay. Roll with it. It's pretty easy to pick up. Let's try out the first one. And we'll see how it goes. Okay, so everyone turn your cameras off now. Oh, that was so quick. Well done, everyone. Okay, waiting for those final few. Perfect. All right, the first question is, turn on your camera if you play a musical instrument. Excellent. Okay, we've got a few. All right, this is just a nice little easy tester. So, Isabella plays a musical instrument. Jai plays a musical instrument. Becky, fantastic. Who else we got? Ashley. Awesome. All right, and Daniel, who's changed his background to be something even more rad. Cool, okay. So now that you get how the game's played, everyone cameras off. Let's go with another question. All right. Turn your camera on if you've ever been to a musical concert. Like we're talking a big musical gig here. All right, we've got a few. I'd love to find out who's been to a musical concert. So, get ready. Let's see Michelle. All right, Michelle, I'm going to come to you. Which musical concert did you go to? And thank you for joining us tonight.
Hi, I went to Backstreet Boys back in my time.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet
Wow.
Boys, guys. Do
Okay.
you even know the Backstreet Boys?
I know the Backstreet Boys. There might be a few people that don't know the Backstreet Boys, but that's okay. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm going to ask a couple of other people. Let's go to Kennedy. Kennedy Mackenzie. I'd love to know what concert you went to. We're going to bring you up on the big screen. We're going to unmute you. Hi, Kennedy. How are you?
Good.
What concert did you go to?
I went to Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Unbelievable. One of my favourite bands. Were they good?
Yeah,
How long did they play for?
about 2 or 3 hours.
That's amazing. Was that your first concert ever?
Yeah, it was actually.
Awesome. Thank you so much for participating, Kennedy. That's great. Maybe one more. Got time for one more. Let's see. Who else can I see? I'll go to the gallery view. It's the best way to see everyone. Okay. You know what? Let's go to Jai. All right, Jai. I'm going to come to you. Hold on for 2 seconds while we bring you up. Jai, welcome. Again, another comfy couch it looks like you're sitting on. We're going to unmute you, and then I would love to know what concert you went to.
Yep, I've been to 2. I've been to Ziggy Albert and
Cool.
Steph String.
Wow, I haven't heard of the second one. What kind of music?
Blues.
Blues. Awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic. So I also remember you said you play a musical instrument as well.
Yeah.
What musical instrument do you play?
I play trombone, violin, and recorder.
All 3?
Yeah.
I struggled to play recorder, let alone 3 instruments. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jai.
Thanks.
Okay, all right. We've got time for a couple more questions. Let's see. Turn your camera on. Oh, sorry, turn your cameras off first. Yeah, so you know how to play the game. You're ahead of me. All right, turn your camera on if you've been overseas. Wow, okay, so a few of you. Wow, I didn't get to go overseas until I was 19. That was my first trip overseas. So let's go to Izzy. All right, Izzy, we're going to spotlight you. We're going to unmute you through the power of technology. Now, make us all jealous. Tell us where you've been.
I went to Singapore.
Singapore, fantastic. Was it for a special occasion?
No.
No, just a family holiday?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. What did you love most about Singapore?
All the cultures.
Did you try some cool food?
Yeah.
At like one of the little markets?
Yeah.
Oh,
We went to kids of those.
that's the best food. Thank you so much, Izzy. I love Singapore too. Really hot place to go. Okay, maybe one more. Let's see. I'll go back to the gallery view so I can see you all. All right, we have Erin. Let's go to Erin. All right, Erin. We're coming to you. Wait for it. Here we go. All right. Again, time to make us all jealous. Where did you get to go?
We went to Fiji.
Fiji. Oh, I've never been to Fiji. Tell me about Fiji. What was the best things about Fiji?
Possibly the food.
The food? Awesome. Was there a particular dish that you can remember that was really good?
No, can't remember.
I don't even know what Fijian food would be like. Is it rice? Is it meats? Is it vegetarian?
It's more meat.
Meats, okay. Awesome. I like meats. And were the beaches good?
Yeah.
Excellent. Because that's where I like to spend a lot of time as well. Thank you so much, Erin. Awesome. Okay. All right. So, love to keep playing games with you all. So now what we're going to do is, because I feel like I've been talking at you a lot, so it's probably time to hear from someone else. So I would love to introduce our first special guest for tonight. Now, her name is Michelle Chi, and Michelle is an accredited social worker and a member of the Australian Association of Social Workers. She works part-time with HeartKids as the teen camp coordinator and part-time in a Melbourne clinic as a youth social worker and counsellor. So Michelle is super busy. We saw her briefly just before we got to spotlight her. She's got a passion for working with children and young people, has a strong focus on practicing from a holistic, strength-based, person-centered approach. Now, we're about to find out what all that means, but Michelle, thank you so much for being here and for being a part of tonight. I'm going to be quiet. I'd love to hear all about what you do, and I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, no worries. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Very good to see so many familiar faces. Hope to see you guys at camp coming up soon. So thanks for having me today. We're here to talk about mental health. So quite different from my usual spiel to you guys, but yes, I am dialing in from Melbourne. So first I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm calling in from, which is the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. And yes, is there a cute Queensland camp coming up? Well, there's a national camp coming up in January. You can email me, and we're not going to touch about that today. Yeah, Margot? You guys have all our emails. Call me, email me. Okay, so let's see. Now, first off, I'd like to check. Do you guys all have your handphones with you? Wave them if you have it.
I think that's your friend, Joyce.
Stop who?
Ew, so
Okay, let's see. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Okay, now before I start, can you guys just QR code that or go on your laptops or computers, go onto www.menti.com and enter that code. Thank you. Okay, so yes, hello everybody. I am going to be talking about mental health today, which, is, as most of you and all of you know, it's very important, no matter how old we are, whether we're young, we're old. So yes, let's start. So first, let's test out Menti. Can in your phones write what is your name and what makes you laugh? Thanks, guys. So this is how Menti works, and we'll be having more of this throughout my session. So as you can see, your answers will just appear on the screen like that. And after this, so they will be anonymous. So no worries. Thanks, guys. Oh, lots of dogs, lots of jokes, funny videos, knock knock jokes. Oh my gosh. Love it. Oh, great. Thanks, guys, for sharing that. Okay, so yes, today we're going to be talking about mental health and how laughing, smiling, all these emotions are so important to us and how we're going to be tackling some of that. Yeah? So I'm just going to go to the next slide. Thanks for sharing, everybody. Ooh. So mental health, we're going to talk about the whats, the whys, the whos, the wheres, and the hows, okay? So first off, what do you think mental health is? How does it affect us? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Oh, great answers, guys. Yep. Beautiful. Yes, those are great answers. Look at all of that. Oh, good job, guys. Yes, those are all very great answers, and definitely. So, mental health affects how we think, how we feel, how we act, and it affects every day of our lives, whether we're at work, whether in relationships, whether we're studying in school. And so, it is as important to look after our mental health as it is looking after our physical health. If you see someone with a broken arm, obviously you try and help them. You're going to go to see a doctor, you're going to go to the hospital. You're not going to tell them to get over it. So, that's the same with mental health. Even though we can't see it, but it's definitely there, and it's definitely something that we should look after and ask for help if we need to. So how can we do that? First off, talking about mental health, there's a spectrum of it. We're not just, how are you? We're good, we're fine, or we're not good and we're not fine. Mental health is a spectrum. We can go from healthy to coping to struggling, and we can even be in a crisis when we're talking about mental health. We move from this scale from healthy to coping to struggling, and sometimes we go back to being healthy, sometimes we jump to being on crisis, and sometimes we go back to being healthy. We never stay on the one side for long, at least we hope not to. And that's the point of mental health, is that we're not stuck in the one spot for too long unless we're healthy. So talking about mental health, and it's really hard to ask somebody, how are you feeling? And that person would know how to answer. So the best thing is to ask, like, looking at this scale, where are we right now? So today, I would like all of us to be able to look into ourselves and ask this question, which is keeping in mind this. If there's something you take away from today's session, it would be something like this. Yeah? Keeping in mind throughout the session, looking at this plan, I want you guys to ask yourself these questions and fill them up if you can. Yeah? So we're going to look at a safety plan. And today, when you go back to your lives, at least have something like this on hand. It's good for you, good for your family, good for, I guess, your siblings and things like that you can bring in your day-to-day life. So, thinking about mental health, we're talking about being healthy. What causes healthy mental health, and what does it look like? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, great job, guys. Thank you. And definitely, so a healthy mental health is when you feel good, you feel confident, you're able to think, concentrate, work, and study. And the thing is, daily things happen in life, and having a healthy mental health means you're able to handle those things. For example, if there is hiccup, or late for school, we're late for something, and you're with a healthy health, you're able to overcome that challenge and soldier on. And of course, being hopeful about the future, you're involved in communities. Lots of you mentioned friends and families and feeling healthy and positive and happy. So thinking about coping with the next stage of not quite healthy mental health, what do you think makes you need to cope, and what does coping look like? So thinking about your day to day, things pop up, things make us stress, which is very normal. Stress is all part of life. What is a minimal amount of stress that would require us to just sit and think for a bit and I guess get us to cope? Yeah. Venting, yes, definitely. Yes. Love it. Singing. Great answers, guys. So yes, coping is basically when we feel just a little bit stressed, whether it's from a homework, whether it's from, being late, or I get stressed when I'm hungry, or, when you know there's a health appointment coming up or camp is coming up and you're wondering what to pack, and if you've got your medication and your documents in. So all of this makes us feel like we need to cope and we feel a little bit stressed. And that's what it looks like, is when, you feel like your mind is all over the place, your emotions might be a bit up and down, you're irritable, you're snapping at someone you love, and you're not quite feeling the way you are. You feel some pressure, but you are coping and you're doing okay. So what can you do to cope? Lots of you have already answered: singing, sports, all that, when you're feeling a bit stressed, I'm going to play some Legos and I'll feel better after. And that's what we do to manage our day-to-day stress. Maybe some of you who haven't been able to answer it before, if you want to share some of what you do when you're stressed. Oh, I love it. Exactly. So all these help us cope. And exactly what you've written, talking to someone, self-care. Self-care is everything that you guys wrote: sports, listening to music, all that. Stop, breathe, think and listen, talk to somebody, sleep. Sometimes you might be surprised how lack of sleep or not eating makes us really, really stressed. I get hangry. Most of you who've been on camp with me know that. And yes, lack of sleep as well. That's when all of us towards the end of camp are a bit nuts. But yes, go see a GP, talk to a mom, talk to your dad, talk to your families, your siblings, your friends. And that's something that helps us cope. Now, when we go to the next level, is when we're not quite coping, when we're not quite, doing as well, when we're struggling. What makes you struggle, and what does it look like? Too many appointments, yeah. Stress. 100%. Please. Surgeries, definitely. Definitely. Thank you guys for sharing. So struggling is that step, I guess, down, up from coping, and that's when we're not quite coping as well. When our mood swings up and down, when we're angry, we're sad, we feel like, like shouting and just having a full, I guess, meltdown. You feel distressed, you have a growing sense of hopelessness, and you even feel it in your body when your hands start to sweat, when your heart is pumping a little bit more, when you feel like you just want to hide in the covers and not get out of bed sometimes. You feel like you're starting to withdraw from things you normally like, you withdraw from people that you normally talk to. And those are just some signs of struggling. And everything that you've mentioned are things that, that makes you struggle. And you see so many people struggles from the same sort of things that, that's why reaching out is so important. And so talking about struggling, what can you do when you are struggling? So many of you mentioned feeling lonely. So what can we do? Take some time alone, yeah. Take hug, definitely. Sleep, love it. venting. Yeah. Oh, I love it, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, these are all great things to do when you're feeling like you're struggling. And I guess, my role here would be also to say that there's other avenues that we can reach out to, not just by yourselves. You don't have to handle things on your own. There's always help out there. So thinking about struggling, what can you do? So many of you have talked about talking to friends, talking to family, school people, and definitely if you want to see a GP and get a mental health care plan, start a safety plan. Remember that document I showed you at the start of this session, about a safety plan, and I'll talk more about that. Practice self-care, which is everything you guys have written, sleep, taking care of yourself, get count. There are 24/7 online supports if you're needing help. Anytime during the day. And just a heads up, you don't need a carer or a parent to go to a GP and get a mental health care plan. You can just talk to a teacher, talk to your GP, ring your GP and have a telehealth appointment. That's a thing right now. And you can ask for a mental health care plan if you feel like you're struggling. Yeah. And this is just some examples of online numbers, websites that you can call and text and read up on that you can get help from. So is it an emergency? Definitely call 000. There are all these other helplines, so kids helplines, Open Arm, Men's Line Australia, Beyond Blue, and just in this next page, I've also written it a bit clearer. And all this will be sent out to you guys at the end of this session. So as you can see, if you don't want to talk to somebody, there are text messages that you can do. So reach out, which is under 25. You just have to, it's like a text box. You can chat to them online, chat to them via message. Kids Helpline is a call, Headspace. If you feel like you want more of that face-to-face interaction, visit your closest Headspace and they'll make a referral for you easy. Yeah. There's for all types of ages, so it's not just for you, it's also for your friends, your family, anyone that you can notice who are struggling. Definitely, these are some things that you guys can reach out to. And then just bringing back to that paper, that safety plan thing, and all of you will get a copy of it as well. So that just talks about, what do you feel, what do you notice when you're starting to struggle? What do you notice when you're starting to not cope? Be aware of what's happening in your body, in your mind, everything that you've written. When you start to feel lonely, when you start to feel stressed, when you start to, when schoolwork is getting too much and, where assignments are not going as well, school is not going as well, friends, breakups, things like that. So these are all things that you would put in that safety plan. And then everything that you've mentioned of what you've been doing when you're struggling, you put that in your safety plan as well. So you write like, when I'm feeling stressed, I go talk to, someone mentioned Talia, so I go to talk to Talia. Or when I'm feeling stressed, when I'm not coping, I sing, things like that. So all that will go into a safety plan. It's just that when you're struggling, and after this, we'll talk about being in crisis. When you're struggling and when you're in crisis, you're not thinking straight. I'm not thinking straight. And that's when you look at the safety plan and you just look, okay, this is what I need to do. This is, step one, to talk to this person. Have their number written on there. Have name, their number, who's the first person you're going to talk to, just call them up and like, hey, just talk to me. I think we've all done that when we've rung someone up and like, you know what, I just need to talk about Macca's, or I just need some chips, just to get that lifeline, just to get out of that moment of struggle. And then there's crisis. This is a whole step out of a struggle. What do you think causes crises, and what does crisis look like as compared to struggling? Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yep. 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 Definitely. Thanks, guys. So crisis is exactly that. It's a step up. It's when you're no longer coping, when you're not even struggling anymore, but you're drowning. I love that. Drowning, overwhelmed. You're feeling death threats to yourself. You're feeling like, you don't want to live anymore. And these are all reals. Like there's no point sugarcoating it because that's exactly what it is. It's when we're in crisis and we've gone a step above struggling. So struggling is when you're starting to feel worthless and hopeless, when you can no longer see the future, when you're unable to control your negative thoughts, the negative thoughts are constant, you can't even get out of bed and you're starting to isolate yourself, and there's a lack of personal care. And not to make, light of this, but everything that causes, you to need to cope, anything that causes you to struggle can then lead to crises. If you're in the coping stage, we're not coping, we go to struggling. And if we don't get help there, then it can go to crisis. And that's part of the mental health spectrum, which is we go from healthy to coping. And sometimes we go back to being healthy, but then we can go to struggling and we can then go to crises. So crisis when it's at the stage where, like you said, we're drowning, we're at the bottom of the ladder. And that's when, it's so important to then, I guess, tackle it. So what can you do, or what can you tell someone to do when you think they're in a crisis? Yeah. Mm, exactly. Thanks, guys. These are really, really great answers. And thank you so much for sharing. So definitely, when you're in crisis, these are all the things that you can do. And if you notice, they're not much different from, what to do when you're struggling. It's about taking that extra step and doing it. And also, when you notice someone else who's in crisis or struggling, there's no harm asking them, are you in crisis? Do you need help? Is there something I can do? Or even go asking them straight out, would you like me to call someone for you? So what to do when you're in crisis? Call 000. If you feel like, you can't do it anymore, you can't live anymore, you don't want to get up anymore, or you feel someone has told you that, call 000. There's no harm. You will not be in trouble for it. And there's no, there's nothing wrong with reaching out. So remember the safety plan that I talked about. Have and refer to it. Immediately look at this piece of paper, have it on your door, have it in your room, have it in front of your computer, have it in your phone. Just a simple, what do I need to do right now that I'm in crisis? Whether it's call 000, call mom, or visit a website, or call my psychologist. Anything, it's on that paper. You can't think right now, just reach out immediately. Lots of you have said seek professional support, and there's so many professional supports out there that is available to you. Whether wherever you are in Australia, whichever state, suburb, there's one in every suburb that you can reach out to. Even schools offer them as well. You have school counselors, teachers, and all of that. And like I said before, get support from your GP to write you a mental health care plan. It's you don't have to tell people about it. It doesn't have to be, something that's, told to everyone. You can do it by yourself, call the GP, or make an appointment with Headspace or Lifeline and things like that. and ask someone for help if you need it. And anything can put you in crisis, anything that can make you struggle. There's no shame in it. So reach out when you need it, if you need it. And if you see someone in the same box or in the same spot as you, don't feel that you can't ask them if they're struggling, or if they're struggling to cope, or if they're in crises. So again, these are some numbers which will all be sent out to you guys. This one as well. And most importantly, 000. So if you feel like, especially this, I know what school is like, you guys know, before parents, before carers, before teachers, if you feel like you need to call this number, do that. Now, talking about struggling, coping, and being in crisis, then there's when we go back to being healthy, and that's what we call bouncing back or healing. Because, when we talked about mental health, like I said, it's a spectrum. We go up and down, up and down, up and down. How do we bounce back? And how do we heal? And what does it look like? Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, guys. So yes, bouncing back and healing looks like being able to cope again, reinventing yourself, enjoying things again, and definitely time. I love that. So thinking about bouncing back and getting healthy again, it takes time. Be kind to yourself. There's no rush. There's no, like you need to do it right now and then you beat yourself up over it. If you're not achieving that, it takes time. So you're noticing that you're more stable in your moods, you're thinking a bit more clearly again, you're believing in yourself again, you're planning for a future, even if it's going to, on holiday in a few weeks or something. So it's re-engaging with your friends and family, reconnecting, and you're starting to feel a bit about like yourself again. And I want you in your safety plan to notice what helps you get back there. What do you do that you notice helps and you can keep doing it? And most importantly, keep trying, never give up, and ask for help. So this is something that you guys would get as well. It's a Self-Care September 2024. This is a great website where you can get calendars to, tell you what to do every day. That's a little bit for mental health. And yeah, every month it's different, and there's even one for art, one for music. So yeah, definitely make use of that. But other than that, I am done. Thank you, everybody, for participating and sending in all your answers.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was really informative. There are 3 big things I'm going to take away from that. And one is to recognize the signs for when I might be struggling and what I can do to help myself. 2, the people I can talk to in my life, whether it's friends or family that I know I can reach out to. And then the 3rd is knowing that there are plenty of other professional resources out there that if I feel like I need a little bit more extra help. So that was really informative. Thank you so much. Let's keep this rolling because I'm super excited about our next speaker as well, who is actually a HeartKids ambassador. And tonight we're fortunate enough to hear from Kennedy Charrington, who I mentioned before, professional NRL player. Now, unfortunately, because of that, Kennedy can't be with us live because she's got a lot of training commitments. However, we've got a special video from her where she's going to share our story because our team had the chance to meet up with her earlier today to prepare this story for you. So, without further ado, Kennedy Charrington.
Hey guys, it's Kennedy here, HeartKids ambassador. I'm so sorry I couldn't make it live on the event tonight, but I still wanted to be a part of it, share my key takeaways that I've learned. So I grew up playing rugby league when I was 10 years old. But before that, I was obviously a very athletic kid involved in anything to do with a ball, anything that required a sign-up fee for sport. I was in it. Touch, rugby league, OzTag, netball, swimming, basketball. I did everything. And then obviously when I got older, I had to pick a sport because, I was kind of good at a few codes. So it was just what professional space wanted me more. And now I'm at the top of my game in the NRLW playing for the Parramatta Eels. And it's something that, I don't take for granted. I've represented not only my club at Parramatta Eels, but I've played for the state in New South Wales for the Sky Blues at State of Origin. Also represented my culture in the cultural round for the Māori All-Stars. And then, the big one being my country as well. So I debuted 2021 at the World Cup for the Jillaroos and won that year as well. So won a World Cup and have played, I think, 6 or 7 tests so far. So yeah, I've done kind of everything in the game, but that doesn't stop me from continuing, to tick off my goals and aspirations, even at the highest level. I was born with a congenital heart defect, also known as a CHD. I was misdiagnosed though when I was younger, had to get a second opinion, didn't really know what was going on. It was kind of missed at birth, and it wasn't until I was 3 years old they thought I just had a hole in my heart, and then kind of sent me away without any really follow-up in what was actually wrong. And it wasn't until I was about 8 years old, so I hadn't had open heart surgery at that stage. And my parents just noticed, as I was playing netball, I would come off the court with purple lips, and obviously that's a sign of oxygen not going to the rest of the body properly. And just I didn't have, the high energy that normal young kids had. And mum and dad took me to get a second opinion, and that was Dr. Casey Lau in Western Sydney, and he referred me to go see Dr. Ian Nicholson. So from that appointment, I literally went into immediate open heart surgery within 2 days of that appointment. So from something that didn't seem so serious, they found out, he did checked over my heart and everything, and basically said to my parents that I needed open heart surgery immediately because the risk for me to have cardiac arrest was quite high, and I was basically in danger of almost being in vegetable state. So my parents had never really been, I was their first kid and didn't really know what to expect, and found out that my heart had tripled the size of what an 8-year-old should be. It was because it was overworking, and basically it could have, I could have died within whenever. So it's just that scary thought of kind of what I was going through. I literally remember everything like it was yesterday. It's a bit of trauma, right? Like I remember the process, the appointments, waking up just after surgery, how it physically felt, the recovery after, and it's very vivid in my mind. And there are still things that kind of trigger those emotions that I went through. I was only young, but very self-aware with what I was going through. My parents were quite transparent in the information that was getting shared to them, then to me. So I think that kind of helped my recovery, knowing exactly what they operated on, the risks, what my life could look like after. So I'm very grateful for my parents for being very open with communicating what was wrong with me, and what the next few years would look like. I had open heart surgery, and ever since then I've just really knuckled down and chased my dreams because I got a second chance at life. Being an elite athlete, yes, it does impact me, but not to the sense where it's pulling me back from the opportunity of playing sport. It's just been more aware of, following up on my appointments, making sure I get an ECG every season, making sure I'm seeing my cardiologist at least every 12 to 18 months, and just being really independent at that stage now that I'm a little bit older. I was 8 years old when I had surgery, and now I'm 25. So just, really being independent is probably something that I've had to learn from a very young age. So before every season starts, we have to fill out, we have to get basically a whole body check just to say that we're safe to play and not going into the season either injured or with high risk health problems. So with mine, everyone kind of just ticks off, yep, I'm all good, I'm all good. And then mine, obviously, have to go into a bit more detail, and it kind of blows away I see the response from the doctor immediately, like, oh, you've had open heart surgery. Like, what happened? And I'm just like, okay, like I've had to have this conversation with almost every professional, but it kind of gets a bit repetitive. But at the end of the day, I've got to I've just got to have that conversation just to be transparent with them, because and then just follow up going, here you need to talk to my cardiologist, here you need to talk to my my medical doctor for my team, or my physio, anyone that's involved, or even my head coach, just so everyone knows that if anything happens at training, that they know my situation. Not saying that anything's wrong with me now. I'm perfectly fine, perfectly healthy after surgery, but it's just knowing my medical history, because that could be a very important part of, you know, something might happen at training, I might collapse. But yeah, just it's tough, because yeah, the doctors get blown away. They're just like, oh my gosh, you've had open heart surgery. I'm just like, well, yeah, 8 years old. I know exactly what's happened, what valve they repaired on, how it looks like for me, what I do now, and being an athlete, obviously it's really important to be healthy. So very repetitive, but obviously for a great reason. I say this every time I work with HeartKids or meet someone young like me that was me basically a few years ago, and I just say, ask as many questions as you can. And it doesn't matter if you can remember or not. I think one appointment, there was an overload of information. I literally just asked the doctor and my cardiologist if I could record on my phone, just to have the appointment, so I can go back and listen later. Because, you know, sometimes we forget really important information, or can't quite understand the big words that are written down on the papers and everything, because they're big words. So I like to have the really informal conversation and get her to explain what exactly the process is, what she needs me to do, whether I need to look after myself, when my next appointment is. Because it's just a little easy tip to go, okay, oh, what did she say again? And then you go, okay, then I can look on my phone and listen back to the appointment, which has been really helpful even at my age. And if you're young, I just think get your parents, just ask them, like, you know, all those questions, just get them to be as transparent as you can, because one day you're going to have to transition and be really independent as an adult. So yeah, ask a lot of questions. If you can record it yourself on your phone and have just that tough conversation with your parents, just to ask what exactly happened. Those are probably the top 3 tips from me. So one of the biggest challenges I found, so I was born in Western Sydney, had surgery here, obviously set up in the medical system really well here in Western Sydney. We moved to Perth when I was 10. So 2 years after, we moved to Perth and relocated. With that, I didn't have the support of the same doctors and surgeons who I was seeing quite regularly, to Perth, which is obviously a new environment. And I think it was kind of that, oh my gosh, who do we talk to? Where do we start? How do we, you know, it was kind of a bit lost at that stage. And then it wasn't until mum had to find a new doctor, a new cardiologist. That transition period was very, very hard, even for mum being with me at every appointment. And that was kind of the scary thing, because it was just like, oh, you know, I'm not seeing the same people who operated on me. And then it got even harder when I moved back to Sydney, because I was now 17, basically 18, an adult, and I wasn't in the childcare system anymore, couldn't go back to the children's hospital. So again, I had to transition into a child, basically to an adult, and again, having to find new doctors, new resources, because I was living in a different area. So it was just making sure I had all my medical papers all together in the one spot, making sure mum was on the phone to me, explaining, you know, who we were seeing in the past, and chasing up documents from another doctor. So that was probably the hardest thing, because transition period's very hard from a child to an adult, and it's not easy. Again, independence. I moved to Sydney by myself, so I was having to grow up really fast and look after my big girl self. Benefits, oh, there hasn't really been many, but like the medical staff always check in on me. It's rather than me reaching out to them. I think it's a really cool thing. Like, oh, asking if I'm okay. I'm okay. And benefits, like I know exactly what's going on with my body. Even we have a cardiologist appointment and she shows me my heart. So I think that's a really cool thing to see. Not everyone gets to see their heart. My family motivates me, because I have come from such a story that is so unique and different, that I want to go out there and make change and show the, you know, the young kids who have a similar journey to mine, that they can do anything. I think that's one thing that kind of sits on my shoulders really heavily, that responsibility to be to be representation of what you can do rather than what you can't do. Being an older sister definitely motivates me. I'm the oldest of 5. And just, I think when I was 8 and went through that open heart surgery, the recovery process, kind of built this resilience and determination within me to go, I got a second chance at life. Let's make this worth it. That's how I see my surgery. I couldn't be talking to you today if I didn't have that surgery, or if it wasn't picked up as quick as it was, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. So that's the reality of it, right? I just want to make sure that I'm living my life to the fullest. That's quite literally it. In anything I do, whatever career, profession I choose, I want to give it 100%. Advice from me would be to dream big. I'm big on putting your goals and aspirations there so you can achieve them. No matter your condition, no matter what, you can get there. And seeing your goals everywhere. I'm a big visual person, so a visual board, writing down, journaling, everything you want to set your intentions to do, make sure you back yourself 100%. I'm quite literally a really good example for you guys to see on TV, which is really cool. So I want to keep being that person for you guys. And some days we're going to have some really low times, probably recovery after surgery, or sometimes your medical condition gets the best of you, but just know that, tomorrow's a new day. Surround yourself with some really good people, whether it's family or friends, and just, dream big. Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. Please feel free to reach out on social media if you have any follow-up questions. I'll be sure to answer them, and all the best with everything. Bye.
Thank you so much, Kennedy. What a story. And it really does highlight just how anything is possible. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing that with us. And to keep that going, we've got some more amazing speakers joining us right now. And before we get to that, I just want to give a quick shout out to all the siblings, just to quickly make sure that your name is your name and then in brackets sibling, because we're about to split up into a couple of different groups in order to hear these speakers. Let me introduce the speakers really quickly first. We are going to be joined by Rachel Knowles, who's a digital journalist with NITV. She has personal experience with a congenital heart defect and co-hosts the From the Heart podcast for HeartKids. Amber Adamson has previously been in the role of acting adult congenital heart disease clinical nurse consultant at the Prince Charles Hospital, and she's currently a clinical nurse consultant in general cardiology at Redlands. And Madeline Buckner, founder and CEO of Little Dreamers, an organisation dedicated to creating fulfilling experiences for young carers through wish-making, festivals, policy advocacy and fundraising. So tonight we're going to divide into 2 groups, the Heart Siblings and Heart Kids. For our Heart Siblings, you'll be directed to a breakout room session that will appear at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and Maddie's going to be leading that session. Heart Kids, you're going to stay here in the main room with me, and we're going to be joined by Amber and Rachel, and we're going to discuss some topics that you're probably going to want to know a little bit more about. And we're going to be in this session for probably about 20 minutes or so. And after that, we're going to have a really quick break and then wrap up the evening with a game and a performance. It says magician, but magician's the wrong word, because when I say magician, you picture someone with like a wand and a top hat and maybe a suit. Not really a magician like that. You're going to find out more later on. You're definitely going to want to stick around. So if you need any help selecting a breakout room, our Heart Kids stage managers are here to assist. Just put in a comment that you need to be moved if you haven't been moved. And we're going to move into our breakout sessions. Now, I've got my phone with me. Some of you might need a phone, or you've been participating on Menti so far, so you know how this works. We're joined, I can already see, we've got Amber and Rachel. Thank you so much for your time. Yes, stay hydrated, super important. For everyone else, while the breakout rooms are kind of getting divided, get out your phone or pop the website in, scan the QR code. I'm going to do it right now too, because I want to know what Amber and Rachel are going to be talking about. So I'm going to go to that website right now. Everyone can do it. Now you're going to be given a prompt, and that prompt is going to be one question, and that's, what would you like to know more about? There you go, you can see it on the screen. So we want to make sure your name's correct because we're going to be looking to give prizes away for maybe some really interesting topics or questions asked. So yeah, tell us what you would like to know about because we have two very, very, very cool guests here that can talk not only about their own personal experiences, but the world of cardiology. So anything you want to know about, like, I don't know, for me, maybe it might be sport because I've always loved my sport. Like, how physical can I get? What is it for you? So while you're starting to write some stuff in, and this is all going to be completely private. We're not going to say who's written any of these comments, so it's going to stay between us. Yeah, well, all right. Let's dive into this. Rachel and Amber, thank you so much again for your time. It's great to have you here with us. Rachel, just while we're getting some words coming, I might just quickly go to you. Can you tell us, I'd love to hear just a little bit, like a short snippet of your story, because it sounds like a really incredible one.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting. I love HeartKids. So some of you might listen to the podcast, so my voice might be a little bit familiar. I hate listening back to my voice, so I'm so sorry that you have to listen to me. I'm very nasally. But essentially, just so you guys know, so I have a CHD. I was born with tricuspid atresia, and I had a fontan when I was 2 years old. I was very lucky. The fontan was great. I still have my fontan from when I was 2, which was in 1999, which makes me feel very old. But yeah, from there, I've been really lucky. I'm on aspirin. I got to uni. I did have 2 degrees, and now I'm a journalist. So everything looks good. Everything's turned out grand.
Well, Rachel, now you just made me feel really old, so thanks for that.
I'm so sorry.
All right, we might go to Menti because I've already seen some words I reckon even Amber might be kind of ready to dive into. So if we have a little bit of a look, you know what, Amber, why don't you just pick one of those topics because obviously you've got a depth of knowledge from the professional realm. And yeah, we'll give you 30 seconds to a minute or so to maybe peel apart one and then we'll go to another.
Yeah, no, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, look, I think effects of alcohol kind of tends to come up a little bit when we sort of do these forums often, more so in the 15 to 17-year-old bracket, because that's probably when you'll start sort of looking into that sort of thing. So look, we kind of just say everything in moderation, particularly when it comes to alcohol. Things like alcohol in excess can cause abnormal heart rhythms, particularly alcohol that might be mixed with things like Red Bull, Mother, any sort of energy drinks. And there's like another one called like Jägermeister, which you would do with Red Bull and whatnot. Anything with coffee, sort of spirits like liqueurs and whatnot. So just keeping in mind with that sort of stuff, that'll elevate your heart rate and put you into abnormal heart rhythms. It can have effects on your liver. So if you're someone that has sort of like liver disease associated like fontans, that's obviously not an ideal thing to do because it's going to obviously impact your liver function further. It can interact with certain medications. So every time I sort of mention anything to do with interacting with medications, I just say it's really important to have that discussion with a pharmacist or your cardiologist that you see, and just to see which of those would have an interaction. It can also like increase your blood pressure, which if I've got any Marfan kids on here or anyone with sort of aortic aneurysms or dilatations, we sort of want to avoid increasing blood pressure, as you know, because you'll all be on medications to decrease that blood pressure so that we're not putting extra pressure on the formation of the aneurysm. So that's why it's probably good to avoid excessive alcohol for that sort of side of things. And also just for anyone who's got like a form of heart failure that's associated with that congenital heart disease, like we often talk about fluid restriction, which I believe is really important. And we sort of obviously mix that in with things like furosemide or whatever you take for keeping fluid off. So if you're just going to go out and smash yourself with a liter or 2 of alcohol, you're already over your fluid restriction, and it does nothing for your health. It's going to just impact your kidney and your liver and things like that. So look, I'm not saying don't drink. You know, none of that. Obviously, we're all humans. We have fun. We grow up. We all do it. But everything in moderation. You know, your heart's important. Your health is important, and just have that discussion with your cardiologist when you're seeing them, to talk about limitations and things like that. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to a cardiologist, there's always a nurse on standby. You can just, well, should be able to call up and say, I want to ask my doctor because I feel uncomfortable. You know, what's my limitations? And we can always have that conversation with them for you if you like.
Health is number one, but I love that. Everything in moderation. But there is definitely a few things there to keep in mind when considering alcohol especially. And I just want to keep on the medical train for one moment, because I noticed that there are a couple of comments there about pregnancy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I operate out of Queensland. So I work with I have worked with some adult congenital cardiologists that specialize in pregnancy, and sort of post-pregnancy follow-up. So, you know, it's all case dependent, it's all condition dependent. So I sort of am speaking on a very, very generalized sort of term here, but it's very important for anyone with a congenital heart disease to have preconception counseling. So that's someone who is a cardiologist that specializes in pregnancy, and your medications will be titrated so that when you go into you know, trying for a pregnancy, those medications are safe to continue in pregnancy. So things like certain beta blockers, we like when people are on metoprolol for pregnancy, but if you're on other drugs like sotalol and things, we like to try and change that over before you get pregnant. Also things like warfarin, blood thinners that a lot of you would be on, that also needs to be discussed about how we would manage that, you know, going throughout the pregnancy, because obviously that creates high risk. But also, you know, pregnancy, it's a lot of stress and pressure on yourself and your body, and you're also going to have an increased demand for blood supply to help supply blood to the baby. So if you already have a heart that's decompensated or not working with the pump as much as, you know, what someone without a congenital heart would have, then obviously that's something that needs further monitoring. So this is all something that's discussed in a preconception counseling session with a cardiologist, and we tend to make them, you know, an hour long, so you can ask all the questions you like, and also not that you have to wait for preconception counseling appointments, but any sort of congenital cardiologist or cardiologist should be able to have a discussion about actual conception and what would be safe for you moving forward. So I apologize if that's a bit of a confronting thing for people who are on the 13-year-old side of things. But for anyone that's a little bit older, I think it's really important to start thinking about and have that discussion. And I know mum and dad, you know, might often be like, oh, you know, but it's important, right? Like we want to prevent it until we're ready, until it's safe to do so, until we've had that counseling. So just quickly on the topic of conception, it's really pretty important to not be on something that's got estrogen in it, because estrogen increases your risk of clots. So if you're already predisposed to clotting, or things like right to left shunting in your heart anatomy, we definitely would prefer everyone to be on a progesterone only pill, or something like a Mirena or the rod in the arm. This is obviously just a discussion with your specialist at the time, but just something to really start thinking about and have that discussion, because we obviously want to sort of be as prepared as we possibly can going into pregnancy. That's for sure.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Amber. Now, Rachel, like, how can you go about, because obviously you've got first-hand experience with this, how do you go about, especially as a young person, talking to teachers or to other people about your condition?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've had to learn is having that conversation. It won't ever end, but you'll get better at it as you do it. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, it can be very daunting when you first start out to like have those discussions with teachers or friends or things like that, and you might struggle with like the terminology or the language, or how you feel when you tell somebody that, but you do get much better at it. So when I first started out, and I think I'm sure this is still the language, but I was always told when I was little, like, that I had a hole in my heart, and that was the best way to, that was the only thing that I understood it as, because I didn't know all the terminologies and I didn't know the surgeries and I didn't know that kind of stuff. I was so little. And to be honest, I still don't know much of the medical stuff. My brain's not very good with that kind of thing. But that was how I said it, and that's how I told people. And, you know, my parents were really supportive in making the right people aware of what I needed. And as I've gotten older and going through that process of moving from pediatric care into adult care and having to take on independence and responsibility for my health, I've gotten a lot better at understanding my body and how to communicate that to people, and ensuring that I know which people I would like to know. I don't have to tell everybody. And I think that's another big thing, is you don't have to tell every single person. You can tell who you like and who you want to tell based on who you would feel safe around. So at work, there are people who know in case anything happens. In my sporting groups, there are people who know, and there are processes in place just in case. But yeah, it's one of those difficult things, but it does get a lot easier. And whatever language and terminology and whatever way you're comfortable explaining who you are to people is the most important thing. And making sure there's always somebody else around who can keep you safe if you're not able to keep yourself safe as well.
Really good advice. Really good advice. And I like that too. Like every time you tell your story, it does get a little bit easier. So yeah, totally understand that. Now, maybe to both of you, you can bounce off one another. We'll try and keep it as short as possible so we can get to a couple of the other topics too. But I know I noticed a few people asking the difference between children's hospital systems and then the adult hospital system. Is there a difference, and what does it look like?
You want to go first, Rach?
I reckon you go with this one.
Okay. I personally don't have experience like in pediatrics. I've always been an adult older nurse. So this is pretty much just going off talking to some of the congenital pediatric nurses and patient experiences as well. So I'd say the number one thing is that we probably just want and expect a little bit more independence. So this means, you know, making sure that you're the main contact, i.e. your phone number is the one that we call, message for appointments, call for results, etc. So, you know, in the pediatric world, I think it'll be mum and dad. So we sort of get you into that sort of independent state of calling for your appointments, changing appointments, calling you with results, getting you a little bit more involved with your care to make decisions moving forward. I mean, obviously, if you've got some sort of like cognitive impairment or things from surgeries, and you don't feel that you want to make decisions for yourself, or you're not understanding what we're saying, and you still feel more comfortable bringing mum, dad, or a support person, absolutely, by all means. But you know, if everything's sort of all good and you're understanding things and you're of age, we definitely sort of expect a bit more independence with all of that, and sort of we'll be expecting you to do your consents for procedures and surgeries and all the sort of testing like stress testing or whatever may have. So I would say that's the biggest thing. And in terms of an adult, from what I can see in Queensland, there's sort of one nurse in a congenital world, and in Queensland I think we have about 5,000, it could be more, patients, whereas in the children's setting I believe every cardiologist essentially has their own clinical nurse. So in terms of nursing support, I would say it's probably a little bit less, but I think that's because we're expecting a little bit more independence from the patient. But nonetheless, we're still really supportive in the adult world, and we'll always return your call or get back to you via email or whatever you may need. So it doesn't mean we won't be there for you. It just means there's not as much of us to go around for you. But yeah, they're probably the main differences, just to keep it short from my end of things. But yeah, what do you think, Rach?
I agree. I totally agree. And I think like exactly what you're saying, when I moved from pediatric care into adult care, I had a couple of years where I didn't see anyone. I kind of struggled a little bit with that transition. So when I went into adult care, I think I was a little bit overwhelmed with the things that I didn't know or didn't understand about things. And that's because my mum was very much the kind of person that the doctor spoke to that whole time. So, you know, her and I would go to appointments together in my adult care for the first couple of years, and I would get comfortable with things. And now I go to all my appointments on my own, and I organize them all on my own. But I still call my mum after them and tell her everything, because that's just the way that we do things, and it just makes me feel better. And you don't, you know, it's the pace that you want to go with, even though like you're in an adult system and this kind of falls on you a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily mean that you don't get to have those support people. And I think a really good thing that came from transitioning from pediatric into adult was I started to see my cardiologist not like my mum and dad, and I could ask them questions about alcohol and all that kind of stuff that I didn't maybe feel that comfortable asking the pediatrics, because I kind of felt like they were a bit of mum and dad. So you get to have a bit more of a relationship with your doctor, which makes it a lot easier as well. And I'm constantly like, if I have any questions about my health, I'm always emailing his office. I'm always harassing them about questions, and if I can do boxing, and if I can do this, and if I can do that. So the relationship that you have with your doctor gets closer, and it's actually a really beneficial thing. It is scary, but it's really good.
Can I jump in, Rachel, just on that?
Yeah.
Is that, like, did it feel like you could take more ownership over your experience as well?
Yeah, totally. I think that's the thing. Like, I think, and I don't know how you guys feel, but I think when I was going through it when I was younger, I kind of just felt like it was a bit of a whirlwind, and it was something that if you had questions about it, I would have to ask my mum and dad, and I didn't know. And so it was really scary in that transition period of like, oh, actually, this is quite a bit of work, and it's a lot of things that I haven't really had to deal with before. But I actually felt, and I feel very much now, very comfortable with it. And I feel like it gives you a sense of autonomy and empowerment, and it makes you feel really strong in who you are and also your heart identity. Where like now I'm so comfortable with talking about my anatomy and how I live my life and things like that, because that's just a byproduct of having to step up and take control of it.
Well, speaking of feeling strong, and you were starting to touch on it before as well, again, maybe just quickly to the both of you, as I'm noticing, like, things about exercise, like, are there limitations on exercise, and even like going to the gym and lifting weights and doing things like that?
Yeah, so no, there are limitations, but again, it's patient dependent, and it's condition dependent. So for example, patients with, again, like I'll say, like Marfan cohort, or patients with aortic issues or things like that, contact sport is something we often want to avoid, just because there's that sort of higher risk of rupturing, things like that, with aneurysm formation and things like that at the aortic root. So when you're a Marfan's kid and things like that, we definitely strongly advise against contact and things like excessive heavy lifting. So particularly things in like CrossFit, where you're getting that sudden, like that, it's like this sudden urge of weight, and your blood pressure shoots up very quickly. And then again, that puts extra pressure on your heart, to sort of keep up with the supply and the demand that it requires when you suddenly have a blood pressure shift like that. So we obviously say things avoid like that, but I want to say it's just case dependent. So it depends what you've got. Some of our congenital patients will do whatever they like, and just hope for the best kind of thing, because that's something that they need for them mentally, which we're very supportive of. It gives them a good quality of life. It gives them drive to keep going. I know someone who's like a Marfan's patient who has had a bit of a rough upbringing and a bit of a rough life, and his way out of that is weightlifting. And obviously from a medical perspective, we're like, oh gosh, this is just like, but we understand that for him, it A, keeps him out of trouble, B, it keeps him busy, and it keeps him focused, and it actually makes him want to do good for himself, because he wants to be able to keep going with that. So we can make exceptions here and there, but as a general, like, you don't need to be sedentary. Please get up and exercise. It's actually very good for you, whether that be walking, running, jogging, whatever. If you get exertional chest pain or short of breath and things like that, please mention that at your appointments. We can stress test you. Like I'm actually stress testing patients myself at the moment. So that's something we can do, and we can look for changes on the stress test and see how good you are and what your functional capacity is, and we can make a sort of plan from there. But a lot of services will have really good like exercise physiologists that have a good background in congenital heart, so they can also make plans for you. And physiotherapists and things like that. So just engaging with professionals if you're unsure. But please, for whatever, like I know some conditions will make you feel like you can't get out and exercise, and that's totally fine. But as a general rule, please do. It's really good for you, like mentally and physically. And it prepares you really well for like surgeries and recovery and things like that. So please keep that up. But I know previously we've had an exercise physiologist, which you probably know really well, Rach, Derek. And like he's amazing. So like someone that's like specializing in congenital that also does the exercise side of things, I really highly recommend, because that's their area for sure.
Okay, well, I know we could probably bounce questions and chat about this for another several hours, but we've kind of got to wrap up. So I'm going to throw one question to each of you that I've just been thinking about. First one is to Rachel. And you've had no time to think of this, so this is completely throwing you under the bus. What was one of the best piece of advices you were given growing up about having a heart condition and how that's played out in your life?
Yeah, I think this is a difficult one. And I think what I really like about being part of this is that when I was growing up, I didn't really do anything like this. Like I didn't know anybody who had conditions like me. I didn't know what life could look like. So the fact that like you guys are here and listening to this is like so much further ahead of me than I ever was. So that's massive in the first place. But I think when I was probably like around 19, 20, I really struggled with, and I think we can all relate, like just feeling really different my whole life, and, you know, trying to play sport, but not being able to keep up, and my friends were partying and I kind of had limitations, and I did struggle with feeling really left out and really different for a really long time. And I remember I was talking to my dad about it, and I was like, oh, it's just, and I feel this way and I feel this way. And he was very much like, well, you know, like, I think there can be conversations that happen about us that are really negative or make us feel like we're not going to be able to live life the way that other people live lives. And I think that's very common sometimes around us, but we don't often hear the other really beautiful side as much, which is we have beautiful full lives and we're so smart and we're so overachieving, and we just like love life, and that's such a beautiful thing. And my dad gave me the best piece of advice, which was, you know, this is part of who you are and you can't change that. And you know, it's through no fault of your own, this has happened as well. But you get to decide how you live your life and how you look after yourself and this part of who you are. So you don't have to put up with anybody else's expectations of you. You get to choose. And that's probably the biggest thing that I would say to you, is that you have things that you want to do in life. If you have plans that you want to do, if you want to travel, if you want to do career, if you want to do sport, you can do that. It's just all about making sure that through all of that process, you're really looking after your heart at the forefront of it all. So that's my advice, is that, you know, you can't change this, but you can still live a really beautiful, fun and crazy life with it.
I absolutely love that. Thank you, Rachel. And if you haven't heard of the podcast From the Heart, we're going to give it a bit of a plug. Make sure you tune in and listen to Rachel and
I was on
different
there.
topics of, yeah, there you go. All the different topics of
Rachel interviewed
and
me. It was
discussion.
awesome. We could have talked for hours. Yeah.
I know, it was so fun.
So fun.
Well, lastly then, just to quickly finish up, in 30 seconds, I'm putting you under the timer here, Amber. Where can we all go to find more information, or if we've got further questions, like where's the best place to start?
Honestly, like I think HeartKids has like the most amazing website with a lot of information on there. So please just access that when you can. And then they also have a list of all the nurses and cardiologists in every state that's congenital affiliated. So if you've got questions that are like medical related, or like who to go and see, who to feed into, where to access them, or who, like what their name is, all of the names of the nurses that run the service and the consultants are on there on the HeartKids website. So definitely link in with that if you're unsure who the nurse is for the service, and try to reach out through there. Otherwise, HeartKids has an amazing thing. And also the Royal Children's, or the Royal Melbourne Children's, I think has an excellent website that has like literal pictures, the surgical corrections, and all the information about every congenital heart defect on there. We actually use that website sometimes for like education purposes. So the Royal Children's Melbourne, I think, has that. HeartKids.
Awesome.
Did I do good? 30 seconds?
That was perfect. Thank you both so much for your time. I couldn't have thought of two more perfect guests. The information was great. Thank you so much for giving up your time to be here tonight. We really appreciate it. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say a massive thank you. So thank you to you both. And we're going to be joined now. Yeah, like you can give a little click or a little clap. We can't hear because the microphones are muted, but I'm sure Rachel and Amber can see it and will appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now, we've got one more special guest who's going to help finish up the night, and then I'll come back and I'll really wrap up the night. But this, I said magician before, and I think that's the wrong word. I really don't think magician says enough. So I'm about to introduce you to Lucas Kagaki. I hope I pronounced that correctly. My surname's Heisman's and everyone always pronounced that incorrectly. So I hope I got that right. Now, he's a Melbourne-based musician who'll be showcasing some of his award-winning magic tonight. And I'm going to throw it over to Lucas because some of this stuff is hard to explain. Lucas, welcome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me. How are we, guys? Thank you very, very much for having me. Now, I'm going to get you all, if you could, to turn your microphones on. I'd like to hear your voices. I'd like you to participate. So if you feel comfortable, turn your mics on and you can help me out. So, I'm a full-time magician. I travel all over the country doing shows and events. And I'd like to show you guys some magic. Now, before we begin, does anyone know what sleight of hand is? Have you heard of that before? Yes, no? Okay, so I'm going to show you what sleight of hand is, but I'm going to show you the difference between sleight of hand and magic. So let me bring you down here. So I'm sure most of you have played with a deck of cards before. Now, this is what most magicians do sleight of hand with. So I'm going to need somebody to help me. Put your hand up if you'd like to help. Let's have a look. Who's got their hand up? Is it Varuna? Is that right? Have I got your name right? Yes? Yes. Do you know all the different cards?
Most of them, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Name anyone you'd like.
5 clubs.
Perfect. Good choice. Let's take the 5 of clubs. Now, because you're not here with me, I want you to tell me what you'd like me to write. I could write your name or your favorite singer or whoever you'd like. What would you like me to write on the card for you?
Can you write the letter V on it?
Yep, just the letter V?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. The letter V. So would you agree this is now the only card like this in the world?
Yep.
Because it's got the letter V on it. So here's where the sleight of hand comes into play. Let me show you what sleight of hand is. It's basically controlling the cards. So if I take the 5, put it somewhere near the middle, every time you say up, can you say up, Varuna?
Up.
It will jump to the top.
Okay.
I'll do it again. If we take it, put it somewhere near the middle, whenever you say up, it will jump to the top. I can see a lot of open mouths. We'll slow this right down. So it goes somewhere near the deck. Now, shuffling the cards, moving them around. This is truly what sleight of hand is. But if you don't say up, it's not on the top, not even near the top. Whenever you're ready and you say up, that's when the card jumps to the top.
How?
Shall we slow it down?
That's crazy.
Let's do it like this. I'll do it even more difficultly. I'll put it onto the table. I'll drop all the cards on top like that.
Cool.
Say up.
Up. No way.
Back to the top of the deck.
Wait, what?
What are you? Excuse me?
I'm so
How?
How is that possible?
Watch. I'll come as close to the camera as I possibly can. Can you all see the card?
Yeah.
Watch. Now you see it. We'll put it inside the middle. I'll push it in. It goes into the deck. Say up.
Up.
Into my mouth. You all said it at once. I'll do this one last time. Very close. We'll take it. We'll put it into the deck. We'll shuffle.
Incredible.
Thank you.
What
We'll
in
shuffle as much as we can. Now, I want you to all say up together. 3, 2, 1.
Up.
What happens when you all say that something different happens? It doesn't come to the top. It doesn't go to the bottom. I'm going to stand up so you can all see. It actually goes inside my pocket, inside my wallet, inside the sealed compartment with V on it.
Nah.
Any questions?
How much?
Have you ever been on Penn and Teller?
Have I ever been on Penn and Teller? I have filmed with them, but the episode's not out yet.
Can you show us how you did it?
No, I'd be unemployed. But I can show you the next best thing. So I'll show you the next step. So that was all sleight of hand, right? That's psychology. That's years of practice, knowing how to manipulate the cards. How bored was I during COVID to learn this? Very bored. So I'll show you what I specialize in. What I specialize in is psychological magic. So what that is getting inside your heads, rummaging around a little bit, seeing what ideas I can put in and what I can take out. I've been doing magic for 10 years. I've had every single reaction under the sun. I've had people cry, scream, run away from me, give me nothing at all. The one reaction that always interests me the most is if I find someone's card, the whole group tells me, yes, that's the card, but the person that picked it goes, nah, wasn't it. It happens all the time. So I always ask that person, what was your card? And they will lie to me. They'll tell me some card from the figment of their imagination. And I got so good at this over 10 years that I figured out how different types of people tend to lie. So here's how the next trick's going to work. Fiona, would you mind helping? I see you got your microphone off.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So Fiona, I'm going to bring you back down. What's going to happen is this. I'm going to go through the cards. You're going to say stop. Let me bring you up so you can see I'm not looking at the cards too. You're going to say stop. Whatever card you stop on, I'll show to you. When I ask you what your card is, you're going to lie to me. Okay, you're going to tell me when you did not pick. Does that make sense, Fiona?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll go through the cards. You say stop whenever you'd like. Okay, so say stop.
Stop.
Do you want to go further? Or are you happy there?
More.
Oh, she wants to go more. Say stop.
Stop.
Are you happy there?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to close my eyes and bring them down so you can see I'm not looking. But can everybody see that card and remember it?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yep.
All right, I won't look, but lie to me. Tell me when you did not pick Fiona.
3 of hearts.
See, girls are really good liars, and I'll tell you why. They don't go too far away from the truth. The one thing that you will always do, though, is you will change the suit. So you said it's a heart, so it's the other red card, being a diamond, and you wouldn't have changed the number too much. You said it's a 3. You probably have the 2. You have the 2 of diamonds. Yes, Fiona? Yes. I'm going to do it again, because this time you guys know what to expect. So who's going to help? Let's go.
This time
Millie, Mills, do you want to help?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Same thing. I'll go through the cards. You say stop. Whatever card you stop on, that's the one we're going to use, okay?
Okay. Stop.
You want to go happy there?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, won't look. Remember the card?
Yep.
Lie to me. Tell me when you did not pick.
King of diamonds.
See, the second time, girls think they're really smart, so they'll say something that's basically the truth.
Oh.
If you said it's the king of diamonds, you probably have the queen of diamonds. Yes? Yes. I will do this one last time.
No.
The third time's the most difficult. Not because I've done it twice now. Obviously, that's a contributing factor. The third time's the most difficult because, Tyson, you want to help?
Yes, please.
Yeah, Tyson, you're a dude. We lie more often than girls. So, we're going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to tell you in advance.
Whatever you say.
I already know how you're going to lie. So, I'll go through the cards.
Amaze
Once
me,
again, you say
King.
stop, yes?
Stop.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, remember the card?
Is it? It's fun.
Can everybody see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyson, brother, lie to me. Tell me when you did not pick.
The 3 of spades.
See, men, we always lie about the color first. So you said it's a spade, a black card. You have a red card. Spades are pointed, which means you have the round one, the heart. You said it's a 3. So you either have the ace or the 2, but you've smiled on ace. You have the ace of hearts. Yes? That's the easy part of it, guys. Remember how I said to you I knew what card he'd lie with? Inside my pocket, I put one card the one card that Tyson would lie with, the 3 of spades.
Marvelous trick. Marvelous.
No, you're breaking my
Let's go
brain.
to the next level, shall we?
So my brain is being broken.
Right, yeah, I want everyone to keep
You
an eye
deserve
on
a round of
it, so
applause.
don't try to do anything funny or anything tricky, okay? I'm going to put these cards away. We're not going to do them. We're not going to do any sleight of hand. But imagine I'm holding the cards. Now, in the deck, there's black cards and there's red cards. Ruby, do you want to help?
Oh.
Yeah? So, Ruby, we've got black cards and red cards in the box. To begin with, do you want to take out of the box the black or the red cards first?
Red cards.
Okay, we'll take the red cards out. Ruby, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the red cards. Now, is it Evie or YVE?
Eve.
Eve, there we go. Eve. Now we've got all the red cards. There's diamonds and there's hearts in the red cards. They're shuffled. What are we going to extract next? The diamonds or the hearts?
Hearts.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So we extract all the hearts next. Good choice. Dylan, do you want to help?
I wasn't paying attention. Wait,
That's all right,
what's
Dylan,
the-
that's fine. That's cool. We've got all the hearts. We've eliminated all the black cards and all the diamonds. We've got all the hearts left. Do you want to throw into the air the numbers or the pictures in the hearts?
Well, like pick a number.
No, just numbers or pictures. What are we going to throw into the air? Just numbers or pictures?
Numbers.
Okay, we'll throw all the numbers. He doesn't like math. Fair enough. So there are 3 cards left. There's the Jack, there's the Queen, and there's the King of Hearts. Talia, do you want to help? Talia, Caddy?
Sure.
Yeah. So we got the Jack,
Sure.
the Queen, and the King of Hearts. Just pluck one of them out for me. Which one is it?
King of Hearts.
Pluck it out.
Yeah.
Gone. 2 cards left. Kennedy, you want to help with the last card?
Yeah.
Okay, we've got the Jack and we've got the Queen of Hearts. Which one are you going to give to me?
Queen of Hearts.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Do you want to change your mind? We don't have to, as
Sure.
long as you're happy.
Sure. I'll change my mind. Yeah.
So which one are you giving me? The King now.
Yeah.
So that means you hold the Queen, or do you want to swap?
Wait, he's tricking you.
Of course I'm tricking her. It's my job.
It was Jack and Queen.
Sorry, Jack, you're right. Jack and Queen. You're 100% right. Sorry. Which one are you giving me? The Jack or the Queen?
Yeah, I found that weird. I'm giving you the Jack.
Okay, so you're holding the Queen. Is that? Just want to be clear, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I got confused with the King. You're right. There was the Jack that was left. So you're holding the Queen. If the Queen of Hearts is in this box, how insane would that be?
What?
It'd be crazy if the Queen of Hearts was in here, yes?
Yes.
No, I'll tell you why. Because maybe I did sleight of hand. Maybe I somehow snuck the card into the box when you weren't looking. So before we even started the show, I printed something on a piece of paper and I put it inside.
Oh.
I'm going to keep this in your view the entire time.
No.
If we open up this piece of paper, this isn't just a card, but this is the Queen of Hearts.
How?
What? That's
How'd you guys
crazy, man.
Stop. How'd you do it? That's wild. Shall we try one last thing, guys, before I let you enjoy the rest of the evening?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, so I have an envelope as well.
Amaze
A little
us.
prediction. Now, this is the end of the show, and I'm going to put this in your view the entire time. Now, on my phone, in my notes app, I have a couple of lists. I have a list of 100 different celebrities, and I have a list of 100 different drinks. Shannon, did you want to help? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, Shannon, I want you to name any number you want between 1 and 100. Whatever number you name will be something random on one of those lists. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, which number would you like? You can say it.
77.
77. And Holly, would you mind helping as well?
Yeah, sure.
What number would you like?
From 1 to 100.
Yeah.
Do I say my number?
Say it out loud.
26.
26. Perfect. Okay. Now, I hope you guys can see this. It might be reversed, but I'll try my best to get this in your view. I'll open the notes. Now, Shannon, would you like the drinks or the celebrities for yourself? What would you like for your number?
Celebrities, please.
Okay, so let me open celebrities. And what was the number again?
77.
77. I'm going to scroll down so we see 77. Now, can you guys read that or not? I know it's a bit hard.
Jennifer Lopez.
Perfect, Jennifer Lopez. But can you guys see that there's 100 different options?
Yeah.
It's not Jennifer Lopez 100 times, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. Now we'll open drinks. And what was the number again, Holly? Was it 26?
26, yep.
Okay, let me find 26. Can everybody say what 26 is?
Starbucks coffee.
Yes.
And not a great choice. But you can say there's 100 different options. Yes, it's not Starbucks 100 times.
Yep.
Is it safe to say there is no way on earth I could have known that Shannon, you'd pick Jennifer Lopez, or Holly, you'd pick Starbucks coffee? That's completely random, yeah? You didn't know you'd pick it.
No.
No.
I've had an envelope sitting here the entire time.
Trick us. Trick us.
Oh no.
Amuse
If
us.
inside there's a photo of Jennifer Lopez and a photo of Starbucks coffee, how insane would that be?
Please be
Very insane.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
Let me take
happen.
it out. Let me show you. There's nothing else in the envelope.
Please.
Yes?
God.
Yeah.
This hurts
Actually,
my
you know what? I went a step further. I didn't just print a photo of Jennifer Lopez and print a photo of Starbucks. That would have been too easy. What I did print, though,
Real.
was a photo
The holding one.
It was her
of
holding one.
Jennifer Lopez drinking
holding
Starbucks
Oh
coffee.
my god.
Thank you so much for having me. My name's Lucas Kogarki. Let me pass it back to Luke. Enjoy the rest of your night. Take care.
Good night.
Oh my god.
Wow, I
Yeah.
think someone summed that up in the perfect comment that just said, mind blown. I think we can all give Lucas a round of applause. That was so good. Thank you so much. I can't believe you had Jennifer Lopez drinking a coffee there at the end. Well, that is about it. Thank you to all of you, our amazing participants. Thank you so much for giving up your time. We hope you got a little something out of tonight. We hope you had a little fun. Over the coming days, the HeartKids team will be reaching out to you, to our prize winners, and with all the resources and things that you've seen throughout tonight. So they're all going to be getting sent to you, and HeartKids will get in contact with you, the prize winners. So don't stress. Now, if you want to continue staying connected, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. So you can look up HeartKids on social media. So you've got the social media channels, and you've also got the Upbeat app. So if you've got any questions, make sure you connect with people across those platforms. Or if you've got any questions, you can actually pop them in the chat function right now too, and the team will hopefully get through them and answer them for you as quickly as possible. So yeah, stay connected with HeartKids on social media. That's the best way to do it. Also, to make sure you pass on any feedback to maybe a family, and they can pass it on to HeartKids, or if you want to pass it on to HeartKids directly. Feedback is always good about how we can make these virtual events, or even the bigger events, even better. So let us know what you thought. And we'd love to hear your feedback. So again, thank you so much to you for giving up your time tonight to participate. Thank you so much to our special guests and the speakers that we had tonight. Thank you for giving up your time and your knowledge and insights. And that is it from me. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Tomorrow's Wednesday, middle of the week. The weekend's not too far away. Good luck with the coming days ahead, and have a great night. And I look forward to seeing you all again really soon. But that's it. Bye from me.
Bad boy, shiny toy with a price, you know